I want to share this morning journaling session with you because I've been thinking about this feeling of being stuck in life. And I think this word means something different to each of us, but I think we all go through it in our own ways. I was going through it 3 months ago, feeling sad, feeling confused, and feeling stuck in life. And today, I still feel confused about a lot of things, but I don't feel as stuck anymore. And this is a snippet of everything that happened between now and then. I became a nomad. I shot a documentary with my best friend, traveled more than 8,000 miles across the US, and I'm beginning to rediscover my most honest creative energy. It all sounds beautiful, but here's the big problem. 3 months ago, I wasn't aware enough of how I was feeling. So by the time I hit the road and things started feeling better, I didn't really know what I did mentally to get there. But now, luckily, I'm starting to feel like I have enough self-awareness to start and distill whatever happened down into concrete steps that I believe are applicable to all of us in some way or form, and that can help us get ourselves unstuck. And it's weird, right? Because when you feel stuck, oftentimes you might look around you and say, nothing's really going wrong. On the surface, my life is perfectly all right. And so me saying I'm feeling stuck and I'm dissatisfied in life seems very privileged. And that's because it is. And I think acknowledging that fact, acknowledging that privilege is the first step towards moving forward in a productive way. Wherever you're at in life, there's probably somebody who has it worse. And especially if you're not feeling well, it's really easy to look towards that person and say, well, what do I have to complain about? I shouldn't be complaining because everything in my life is objectively quite all right. And while that's certainly not the case for everybody, that was definitely the case for me. Oh, hello. And I think at this point, it's important to remind ourselves that it isn't just a selfish pursuit to get ourselves out of this state. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite because it affects the people closest to us very severely when we're not feeling the best version of ourselves. There is this popular sentiment out there in our culture that rationality should stand above everything else, that reason can be the solution to any and all problems, and most importantly, that you can succeed by effectively shutting down your feelings. And trust me, that is most definitely, from my experience, not true. But the problem is, in that situation, it doesn't matter much because, well, your head is all you have at this point. So I think it helps to just work with what you have. And so what I think is the best way forward when your head is sort of disconnected from your heart is to go forward by journaling. But it's not just journaling in general for the sake of it. I think it's journaling specifically to arrive at a single core question. When you have a single question that is guiding this particular period in your life, it becomes a lot easier to look forward towards the next step, big or small, because you have that guiding light, so to speak. And I think over time, that naturally gets us to a place where we have more emotional and mental space, as well as clarity again. And it might sound weird, but let me show you what this might look like, and then I'll explain why I think it does indeed work. So your core question can be anything. Yes, do I like my job? Why do I feel disconnected from my peers? What defines a good relationship? And for some of us, this might jump out right away or is a very obvious process. For me, this was actually the hardest part. And I think it has to do with the level of specificity that we often think we need to have when we're starting out on a journey like this. And I eventually realized that it doesn't have to be that specific. My question literally just was, why am I so dissatisfied? And that's very high level, but it was a start that eventually got me to more specific questions. And it's tough. I think it's tough for all of us to take that first step and to confront the way we're feeling. But after that, things became a lot easier. I was simply journaling on things like, how is it possible that sometimes in life things can seem perfectly all right and yet we can't seem to be getting ahead? And so with that question, for example, I didn't have an answer right away, but I felt like it was a combination of a lack of personal growth as well as intense creative frustration. So now there's momentum, because now I could ask, okay, creativity, why am I feeling so creatively frustrated? What is making me feel stuck in my creative energy and my creative passion? And previously, because I pride myself on being a motivated person, I would have just pushed through and pretended that things weren't the way they are, that I in fact liked the work I was doing, and that I just had to push to that next step to get to a place where I was feeling creatively fulfilled. And that journaling practice got me to confront the fact that it wasn't so, and got me to take myself seriously as a result, which then led to more emotional and mental clarity. And don't get me wrong, some of the things I was working on were indeed great, but on the whole, I had gotten really frustrated with the lack of momentum and passion in a lot of the work I was doing. And I realized that it was negatively affecting pretty much everything in my life. And that's how I realized that I had settled for something safe instead of the life that I really wanted to live. I decided to set out on a journey with my best friend. And in doing so, I put myself in an environment where I could look both inwards for personal growth, as well as reignite my passion for filmmaking and storytelling. Creatively, we achieved this by shooting a very challenging documentary where we tracked this amazing band on a nationwide tour across the US for 2 months, living mostly in a van. Again, to some, this might sound a lot cooler than it actually was. While the highlights were certainly incredible, we're also getting almost no sleep and living mostly in Walmart parking lots. And in making the decision to hit the road, I had to fully commit to the unknown. And I knew it was a road that I wanted to take because of that one core question that I had in my mind. And the constant movement and nomadic lifestyle actually helped me look inward. And that's something that's certainly specific to me, and it's not going to be the case for everyone. I just happen to process things more effectively when I'm on the move. So I think that's the main lesson here, is to find a question that seems to be at your core, and then to actively build an environment around yourself that allows you to most optimally grapple with that question. And it's really finding that core question that I believe is the hard part for most of us. And I think journaling is truly one of the most effective ways that I have found to get there. And with consistency and honesty on the page, I think it becomes a lot easier to arrive at that thing that can become the guiding light. And so before I use any more cliche words, let me lay out why I think journaling is in fact the best way to get there. And I think that's for the simple reason that journaling leads to self-awareness, and more self-awareness leads to asking better questions. And something an early mentor once told me that I keep reminding myself of is that good art is mostly about asking questions, not about making creative statements. It's about raising questions in a way that invites other people to grapple with that same question in their own way. And that's something I keep reminding myself of. And the more I do this work, the more I just find that to be true. And on this documentary shoot, I learned the beauty of just being there and listening and recording and not feeling the pressure to make a creative statement. I'm only at the very beginning of this journey, but I'm so excited for what lies ahead, even though, or precisely because, it feels like I have pretty much nothing figured out.